So we have now the convenience initializer and the designated initializer. This is what we call designated initializer, and this is the convenience initializer. The next thing we're going to do here is to create methods. Now, what is the difference between method and functions? In most languages, the difference here is that functions is just a function that you create outside of a class. Like when you go back to what we've been doing when we talked about functions in the beginning, they were just functions we created outside of everything. We were just creating generic functions and call them and so forth. But whenever you put a function inside of a class, such as this, then they are often called methods. Okay, just tomato type of deal. So we're going to go ahead and create those methods. So I'm going to go ahead and say methods here. So classes also have methods because that's part of creating a fuller entity of what an object is. So methods, well, simply you say func, and you can pass name, of course. Actually, you must have a function name. In this case, I'm going to say turn on, and I'm not going to pass any parameter, and it won't return anything. So the body of the function is going to say print, and I'm going to get the name of our microphone. In this case, I'm going to say self look.name, brand name in this case. Again, you notice we have the self here. Now, I could just say brand name like that, and that still works because it will assume you meaning this brand name at the top here, which can be changed, of course, inside our convenience initializer. But it's always a good idea to always say self so that for us and other people going to be reading our code, they know we are talking about a property inside of this class here. Okay, so there we go. Now, anytime I come down here, I can come and say print, for instance. Let's see, default, let's lose default mic again. Dot, look at this. I can go ahead and say turn on. Okay, if I run, it just shows nothing. Okay, in fact, let me go ahead and put something more elaborate here. Line side interpolation again is on, something like that. Okay, so let's come down here. Let's comment out all of these guys so we don't have a lot of clutter. In this case here, I can say default mic dot, let's call the turn on, because now I know that turn on is going to print something. I don't have to put that inside of a print method, do I? Let's run this and say brand, general brand name is on. Look at that. Okay, and it knows exactly which brand name we're talking about depending on the microphone we have instantiated. This case was a default microphone, which you remember correctly is just a default microphone, which means it's this one. However, if I come down here, we know now we have this Blue Yeti. If I say Blue Yeti dot turn on and run this, it's going to say something different. Blue Yeti is on, right? Very good. So that is indeed the differentiation. So we can create another method here. I can say func, and in this case here, I can say show name, and I don't need to pass any parameter. I can say it's going to return a string, and here it's just going to go ahead and return the name. So I'm going to say self. Let's actually make this a little bit more elaborate. Let's say show about mic, something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and say self, and here I'm going to say return a string that will say all sort of things. I'm going to say this mic is self.brand name and is type self.type and color self.color, just like that. Okay, so it's going to return a string, which means I can come down here, use default again if I wish to do so. I can say show about. Now, because I know I can say default mic show about, if I click here, nothing is really happening because I need to print something. I'm going to say print, because remember, I'm just returning a string, so I have to print it. I'm going to run. This mic is general brand name and is type non-condensed and color blue. All right. I can do the same thing with Blue Yeti. Let's just say print Blue Yeti. Print, like I said, show about, run. This mic is Blue Yeti and is type condensed and color gray. Alright, so in this video, we were able to create methods that are attached to our microphone class, and in conjunction, of course, with the properties and initializer, now we have a pretty solid, structured class here that when instantiated, we actually have very nice objects. So in the next video, we're going to take this concept of classes into a next level, which we call the level of object-oriented programming paradigm, if you will, which allows us to extend our classes and programs to create a much broader and extensible system of classes that have things in common. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.